All right, so welcome to the On Purpose podcast, where we're here to live a life of purpose, to be flourished and fulfilled in all areas of our life. Welcome, Kirk. Oh my goodness. This pumped me up on the way here just thinking about this because
Cool.
it's been floating around in the village about like not feeling important, like, that they're not valued, that they're trying to get connection from the outside world. And I'm like, well, what does that stem from? And that's from not being connected to their legacy. So I wanted you to distinguish what legacy is.
Legacy.
Yes.
Wow. I have a connection with that word. Let me just feel into it for a moment longer. I feel like there's something really deeply divine in your question, and I can't quite access it, but I'll just intend that it comes through. But the first part is I have a connection to that word, and that word really came into my awareness when I first met John. And it's not a word I'd really used much before or really thought much about, so it wasn't like a distinction I had trained in previously. It was just like this came through. And um, there was a time when this mission, like where I'm currently located in Costa Rica, in this beautiful village, we've got 2 properties completely paid for. We got 30 people living here. We got programs every night, really actually more than 1 or 2 or 3 sometimes. And yeah, there's an abundance here that was once just a sparkle in John's eye. Like there was a time when none of this existed, and the very mention of it would have seemed disconnected, disoriented, unrealistic, fanciful. Like, what are you talking about? Like, no, we got actual things to accomplish here. You got to stop, get out of your dream or whatever. Like what's here is so amazingly beautiful that there's no way we could have possibly anticipated even like 10% of it, I'd say. So get in that background, there was times when we were more inspired and empowered and less inspired. Like there were times where we're actually discouraged, like after a big defeat, we're just like, oh, if I want to do this, just like there were many moments and different feels in those moments. But there was one moment when John and I are looking at each other and we're like really deciding whether or not to keep going. And what I heard out of John was he was leaning towards not. Like there was a moment, I forgot what happened. Something happened, and there was a moment when we both just stopped, and he looked at me, and I think we were on the phone, but energetically, he's looking at me, and I'm looking at him, and it's just like, man. And then like this thing came through, like, no, no matter what, we're moving forward. This is my legacy. I have an opportunity to create a legacy for myself. I had been training for 25 years at that point. I'd been leading professionally for almost that length of time. I had accomplished a great many things, especially related to serving humanity and serving individual people, and that like this decades, like years and years and years of deep service, and I felt like I had nothing to show for it. I mean, I had like what I had internally, but when I was going through my dark time before I met John, I was just a dude who was having a rough time. Nobody related to me as a king. In fact, quite considerably the opposite. You know, well, if you're homeless and jobless and in debt and have questions about where your next 2 or 3 meals are coming from, people look at you with judgment. They don't look at you like, oh, there's a king who needs a hand up. Let me serve humanity by serving this king so he can be strong again and serve. That's not at all how anyone was related to me. And so I saw an opportunity with John to continue good works and continue service, but actually have something to show for it. And that really appealed to me. That seemed like a really positive, good thing. Looking back on it, I can see it was somewhat Kirk focused, but it wasn't entirely that. Like it was a lot of truth and heart in it. And so so that word just always reminds me of that moment, when it wasn't for sure we were going to fall forward. And we were thinking about falling backwards and just, you know, sitting there for a minute. So
Yeah.
anyway, I love that word. So right there, I guess I haven't really ever distinguished that word greatly. So this is all going to be just real time and from nothing. And I don't even have a definition of the word legacy actually. So that's perfect. So what I saw there was an opportunity to have something to show for my efforts that was a match for my efforts, that was a match for the contribution I had been to people and I've been to the world and been to humanity and how much I had gone through to be someone who could be a contribution, because that's not at all. I wasn't someone who could be a contribution when I started the leadership journey. And then at some point I was. And it wasn't, you know, it wasn't easy and the burden wasn't light and I wasn't always like treated with respect or kindness or you know, loving kind attention. Like that's not wasn't the group at all. And so it was hard, you know. And you know, when I was in my dark place, you know, 5 or 6 years ago, whatever, I noticed that I had nothing to show for. And then when I would talk about who I had been and what I'd accomplished, people just look at me like I was some delusional loser, you know, some bum on the street who like a messiah complex, you know, that kind of thing. So anyway, I saw with John an opportunity to have something substantial in service of humanity that would exist in the world past my lifetime, that would be a ripple, like a consequence, like an after effect of the good I have dedicated my life to. So let us start there.
Just wow. I just I'm really present to the never give up on yourself,
Yeah.
you know, and what you just distinguished there was like you're like, I'm glad to be spent, you know, like I'm going to spend the rest of my life and be spent inside of it for this thing to come to fruition. Even if it doesn't, maybe it's just for someone else to reap the harvest of that. I'm got chills, you know, and it's like lighting me up from the inside out. It's
Yeah.
like, wow, it just fuels inspiration and drive, you know. Um, wow, that it really inspires me. So yeah, distinguishing for the people what legacy is, and you've already got certain facets of it, is like not giving up on yourself, deciding to be a contribution in the world, that's greater than oneself, um, and not worrying about your physical things. But
For,
what other facets do you see with legacy?
yeah. So for me, I think what distinguishes legacy from other things that are inspiring and, you know, like purpose or surrender or, you know, there's all kind of inspiring things. I think what's different about this is the idea of leaving something behind, leaving something that outlast. I wanted to leave something that outlasted me. I wanted to create something that when I die, because I surely will, I'm on the way out, you know, I just don't know when. Could be tomorrow, it could be 30 years, you know. Say what I'm 60, 30 would be 90, could be 50 years, who knows? Could be I could live to over 100, who knows? But whatever it is, I wasn't committed to benefiting from it. Like I wasn't committed to living inside of whatever got created. I was just simply committed that whatever I created would outlast me. That it was worth that what got created was worth outlasting me. Like there was enough value in it that would outlast me. By the way, I declared that when I surrendered my title of CEO, I declared that that got accomplished.
Wow.
What is created will outlast me, and that exists inside of you and Christy and Chris and, you know, all the leaders here and all the leaders to come. Like what's been created here will outlast me and John. John's probably going to last a little bit longer than me. You know, he's a generation younger than me. But I feel confident that what has been created will outlast me. So in that sense, my work is complete. I had three things I wanted to accomplish: a team that would support John, a team that would support the mission, and legacy. Something so valuable and so worth it that it would outlast me, without something that could last without me tending to it, without me feeding it every. Because at the beginning, everything here needed to be feeded every day. In fact, it was almost impossible to keep up with. Herding kittens like every day. It's not like that anymore. It may seem chaotic to some people here, but it's nothing compared to a couple of years ago.
Wow.
People were complaining about the chaos and distractions, and I'm like, oh yeah, okay, cool. Because it's just in relationship to a couple of years ago, it's it's peace and peaceful and perfect.
Wow.
Anyway, I'll pause there.
Yeah, that brought up emotion for me.
No.
Because I do feel that, and I do still feel the gap. Like when you're creating the visionary 4.0, right? And there's fire coming with that, but I'm like, wow, this man's got a stack about this big of distinctions that you live inside of, that are all worlds and language that you live inside of. And it's this big. And I'm like, oh, I got some work to do. I'm like, oh, I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, snap. Like it's time to get to work, talk about lighting a fire. I'm like, so.
Some of
And
my
it's
favorite
crazy.
moments. Some of my favorite moments was when a triggered visionary participant will start throwing distinctions back at me. Okay. Anyway, yes, beautiful, yes.
So what is the backbone? What is the backbone to starting a legacy? Like what would be the fuel, the foundation of this?
Well, I've never thought about that before. Well, first thing that's coming through is being the real deal. Like that's such a rare thing. And so just for everybody, what I mean by that is congruency of being. And what I mean by that is your words and how you're being and how you behave and how you conduct yourself and how you make decisions day to day, moment to moment, with your wife, with your husband, with your kids, with your friends, with your employees, with your employer, with the people you like, with the people you don't like, with your preachers, teachers. I don't know, just um, um, your words and your actions and your way of conducting yourself are all in alignment. Oh, well, gee, Kirk, that seems pretty simple. Simple, yes. I agree that it does sound simple. 100%. We're on the same page that it sounds simple. But while no one is perfect, right? So that's not the goal. Perfection is death. Perfection is the absence of style. Perfection is the absence of humanity. Oh, that's a distinction, I think.
Oh yeah, I'm writing it down. So
Yeah, write that down for me. Thank you. Perfection is the absence of style and humanity. Start there. So as I'm not talking about perfection, I'm just talking about if you preach love, practice love. If you preach peace, practice peace. If you preach integrity, practice integrity. If you preach service and contribution, be service and contribution. Easily. Now I'm super finicky and super particular, and could be judged for that. I will be fine if you judge me for that. I made my peace. But I'm super particular about this work that we do, leading transformational events and conversations. And as my professional experience and opinion and assessment, that easily 90% of people who are in the personal development field should not be. They're literally detrimental. They're literally taking people away from the truth, taking people away from the light towards darkness and confusion. And I think a good percentage of them are not aware of it, and a good percentage of them are aware of it. So to run into somebody, as I did with John one day, random, occurred to me as random and by chance. And I saw him leave for 30 minutes or 45 minutes, whatever it was. And I saw congruency of being. Now, no one else saw it. No one else responded to John any differently than responded to the other three people who were just completely invaluable. I mean, not unvaluable, not completely not valuable. In my assessment, as I said, I'm particular and grumpy and rigorous and all the rest of it. So if you say one thing and you behave another way, it's impossible to build anything worthwhile and have it last. People do build things out of integrity and then they fall apart. I've done that. I've been that person for many years. And so this thing of congruency being really got lit up for me when I was working with another organization for on and off for about 20 years or so. And the methodology, the technology as they refer to it, but the methodology, the paradigm, the process of their work is beautiful. It's very word related. There's not much, there's really no love in it per se, but from the standpoint of word, it is robust, very powerful, highly contributory, absolutely set me free. But there's a fatal flaw in it. There's like a drop of poison that's now quite a bit bigger than a drop, which is incongruency. People not being the real deal. Managers who are in no way, shape, or form honoring the work with integrity. And I could give you literally hundreds of examples over several hours, which I'm not going to do. Managing leaders who are operating in integrity, many of them, and it's just so discordant. It was very painful to operate inside that, extremely personally painful to operate inside that environment, because I always assumed it was me, that I was messed up somehow. So anyway, nothing can get built that will last. Nothing can get built that everybody can benefit from. Because if one person is not being congruent, if not one person is not honoring their word with their being and their actions, then the whole the well of water is now poisoned, and the poison just expands. And that's really every organization I've ever spent any time with. You could see that there was once a beautiful intention, perhaps, but people are saying one thing and doing another. And once you look for it, it's like literally everywhere. And with John, I saw the least of that I've ever seen in anybody, including myself, which I hold myself to a very rigorous standard in this particular thing. And I saw it more strongly and more easily, with more ease in him than I saw it in myself. So that was very magnetic to a leader who had a hard time finding an environment to actually thrive in. All of a sudden, he didn't have an environment yet, but I saw that where he was going would be a place that someone like me could actually thrive and be celebrated, supported, and being the real deal. One of the biggest barriers to being the real deal is people will literally crucify you for it. Jesus was the real deal.
Yes.
From a certain perspective, it didn't work out super groovy for him, except that was the plan.
Not for him or any of his followers.
Yes, followers. Yes, all the stories about the followers who wouldn't give him up and they were tortured and all the things. So,
and they did it gladly too, by the way, though. But
pardon.
They did it gladly. They were willing.
Yeah. But just to point to the rarity of congruency of being, one of the greatest examples. There's a book written about him. It's the most popular book ever in history. So that's how rare it is, right?
Yes.
Congruency of being. Now I'm playing a little bit, possibly being slightly blasphemous. I'll repent for that. But so step one in legacy making: be the real deal. See, there's these things that we say but it's almost pointless saying them because people have heard it so many times it doesn't even hit a follicle of hair on someone's forehead. But be the change you wish to see. See, that's a cute quote. Everybody like giggles and smiles on the inside when you say that, but no, that's actually like a command. Shut
Yeah.
up, stop complaining, stop being a victim, stop being a problem for everybody, stop bleeding all over everybody every time you get a chance. And that thing that you won't shut up about, be that. That's what that's saying. I'm
Yeah.
pretty certain people don't hear it.
Oh my
Same
goodness.
thing with give what you want to get. That thing you've been whining and complaining about for 37 years and no one can stand to be around you because you won't shut up about it. You act like such a fucking victim about it. That thing, yeah, that thing, yeah, that thing. Give that instead of walking around complaining about not having it. You be the source of it.
Mm.
That's what that's saying. And I'm really certain that's not how people are hearing it.
No, they keep doing
But
this, but you got to go first. You're
yes.
supposed to do it.
But see, if people would just be, if people would actually be the change they wish to see and give what they want to get, that would actually
Yeah.
be consistent.
Yes.
And why that's so shocking is because it's so simple and so non-existent. It's beyond rare. Diamonds are rare. There are millions of diamonds around the planet. There are not millions of people who are congruent.
Mm.
Wow, that's interesting. That's interesting. I'd like to know how many diamonds are in the world that are so rare. And then compare that to human beings who are actually congruent.
Oh, wow.
I really like this. I think this has legs.
Legs for the legacy.
I got a fun one for you. By the way, just to be clear, I mean fun for me. Okay, everybody ready? Let's go.
Wow.
I may be having a little bit too much fun.
That's okay. That's okay. I told you you'd like this. I was the one
Yeah,
that cracked up. So the first ingredient is being the real deal, having congruency of being.
Now, I'm hesitant to go beyond that ingredient because I've only met like 3 or 4 people in my lifetime who actually have accomplished that one ingredient. So
But
it
if they
feels a little
accomplish that
premature
one, that
to
one's
jump ahead.
already really big. So just get that one down,
Yeah,
guys.
yeah, just start there. And oh my gosh. Not only will you be on the first path of creating a legacy, everything else in your life will actually work, which actually might be more important.
That actually really hits because if you just focus on that one thing,
One thing.
literally everything else will be a ripple
Yes.
effect. Your achievements, your
Yes.
contributions, the way
Yes.
that your
How you handle
value,
breakdowns? How you handle
yeah,
breakdowns?
how you handle breakdowns, how you communicate with people, how you treat yourself and other people inside of it. Wow,
Yep.
that
Yep.
really does actually impact
Especially if you're walking
everything.
around saying beautiful things all the time.
Yeah.
Here's it's a 2-step formula, right?
Hmm.
Be congruent, like actually be and do whatever you say, and then say a lot of beautiful shit. And then coach people all the time.
Wow.
That'll get you straightened out in about a week. Just practice everything you preach and you'll be fine.
Practice what you practice, not just speak it, be it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
I feel
Yeah,
like
because
there's it
people
could be a master class out of this or something.
there could be, you know. Yeah, because I was remembering that people don't remember what you did.
Yeah.
They remember how you made them feel
Yeah.
about themselves and
Yeah.
about the world and
Right.
about everything, you know. So it just and God, most importantly, God, how they
Yeah.
feel about that, you know. So it's not about us,
Yeah.
the individual. Like take the selfish thing. Oh, there was something that you had said um earlier, that there was a moment, like, because you were like, I was this way before and I used to be this guy.
Yeah.
There was a
Yeah.
switch that happened.
Yeah.
There was a moment that happened for you that you're like, no, I'm being this now? Do you remember that moment?
I remember possibly the moment. I remember a moment. I was in the Landmark Forum in the 70s. No, 90s. In the 90s. And right before that, I was in my mid 30s, 36, I think. And right before then, I had spent my whole adult life, 20 years or so, being a angry workaholic. Very angry. Worked all the time, very disconnected, very angry. Hot temper, bad temper. And I lied and cheated and stole because that's all I'd ever known. It didn't occur for me as a bad thing. It occurred for me just the way the world was, and it was incumbent upon me to be good at it, which I was. Very charming, very powerful manipulator. I was dishonest in business. I hurt people in business, etc. But I didn't think much of it. I'd also been hurt a bit. Like, it was just, to me, it was like warfare. I took some, I got some. I was more scrupulous than many people I knew. So it didn't really register as a big thing or a bad thing so much. And I'm in the Landmark Forum, and the Landmark Forum leaders talking about integrity. And I don't remember like the moment. I just remember sitting there after he was talking for a while, stunned. Because I was present to a new possibility in my life that had never occurred to me. And what occurred to me for the first time was that I could actually be a man of character. I could be someone who wasn't just getting his and getting by and dominating or being dominated or winning and losing and that kind of stuff. I could actually be someone that I could respect and I could actually like and I could actually appreciate. And possibly I could live a life that I could look back on at some point in the future and actually be proud of. And none of that had ever occurred to me. And it was bumpy. I had really long established patterns of being crooked and, dishonest and stuff. And a lot of anger still, But something changed forever. And nothing was handled and nothing was accomplished, but a journey was definitely begun that I'm still on today.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. And so the thinking, the words and the thinking and the phraseology of congruency of being came much later, but it came much later in the same organization where I had risen through the ranks. I was a superstar for a while, really extraordinary performance in various ways. And as I moved up the food chain, I ran into more and more people who were not in that space that I just described. And they were pretending and saying all the things, but when people get pressed and people don't get what they want, when people hear a no, when people feel threatened, that who they actually are comes out. And when that happened, it was ugly and dark, very painful for me at the time. And so even in the most prestigious organizations, even people with the most beautiful reputation and title and accomplishments are almost never who they say they are and what they say they are. And so those two, like that congruency being was a later chapter in that first thing that day when I all of a sudden got the possibility of being a man of character. The congruency being was a natural conclusion of following that path in an environment that I thought was congruent and that I discovered wasn't as I got into it. And the pain and the anguish of that really cemented something in me that whatever I'm a part of in the future, congruency will definitely be part of and a necessary part.
Did that also spark a decision to like seek and find people that were up to the same thing?
No, not yet. At the time I was attached to my participation at Landmark. It was like a lifeline for me. It was like what was really working in my life. And I think also there was I wasn't done yet. I wasn't done training yet. I was clear for me there was more for me to learn. There were people in the organization who still had something that I didn't have yet in terms of but whatever I perceived in terms of leading or grace or competence or mastery or whatever. So I wasn't done yet. And to my credit or discredit, I don't know. Like I definitely compromised my integrity to continue, and I continued at great expense to myself because I wasn't I wasn't done yet. So you know, you can go either way on that. But that's how it all looked to me.
Yeah. I'm reminded of it just came the other day. It was a quote that John had posted, and it was like, if you're thinking that someone is too far from being saved, just take a look back at your life, you know,
Yes.
and look where you
Yes.
came from. So just keep going. And then I wanted to just bring in the power of never giving up like never giving
Yeah.
up on this.
Yeah.
So
Well, just I can do it real quick. Just a really beautiful example. This village that we live in far exceeds anything that I could have possibly imagined. At the time of embarking on this, I was the CEO of this organization, and it was my job to imagine such things. And, you know, it was kind of my thing, you know, plans and strategies and the backup plans for the backup plans. And then victory, we're definitely having victory. Here's how it's all gonna work. That was kind of my jam. But in that jam is somewhat cerebral. It takes a great lot of understanding and that kind of stuff. And none of that was part of this journey. Like we had no idea where we were going. I mean, Costa Rica, we knew what country we were going to, you know, so that's pretty general for most people's taste. Where are you going? Oh, to that country over there. Oh, okay. Okay, great. Good luck, buddy. So anyway, we knew what country we were going to, and we talked a lot about villages, and that's about it. And there were so many times when we could have given up. There were so many times when the logical thing to do would be to give up. You know, the same program didn't work nobody showed up for the ninth time in a row. Or, you know, no one took our offer for whatever. We're completely out of money, and all the money that we're absolutely certain to come in has just disappeared. And the bills didn't. It's a funny thing about income and bills. Sometimes the income doesn't show up, but the bills always do. If we could reverse that, man, we'd be jamming. So anyway, yes. We could get the bills a little less consistent, the income a little more consistent. Oh my gosh, that would be just like everything.
that's right.
Yeah. Uh, um, I'm sorry, I distracted myself with my joke. What am I?
It was about wow.
One of those awkward moments.
Yeah. Like what just happened? Brain fart.
I'm just glad it's not only me.
This is not giving up. So we're not going to give up
Oh
on
yeah,
ourselves.
never giving
Okay,
up. Perfect. So this is a great example of not giving up. We stuck with it to remember what we're talking about. Oh, we're talking about not giving up. Great. Well, that was perfect. That was God said. That was all meant to be. It was all perfect.
that was
If
great.
anybody's wondering, nothing happened. Actually, we did that on purpose. Wink, wink. Just a
Yeah.
demonstration. But anyway, so just imagine what you could accomplish. So everybody's listening could just like imagine for a minute what you could accomplish if you never gave up. See, this place that we are right now is someplace that I never imagined we could get to. And there were so many occasions when the circumstances would just look so strong and our resources look so weak that the logical thing to do would have been giving up. And there's just so many opportunities to give up. And that we didn't is the reason that we're here. And there's so many times in my life where I did give up on something. And so, you know, one of the things I reflect on when things get tough for me or others is just imagine what you could accomplish if you never gave up. Something John quotes a lot, I think he got it from Tony Robbins, is people overestimate what they can do in a year and they underestimate what they can do in 10 years. And I don't know if those numbers are correct, but the vibe is correct. And so, yeah, people overestimate what they can do in a year and they get all frustrated and quit. But had they just not quit and stuck it out the other 9 years, almost everybody would have everything that they want, you know. So, yeah, just imagine what you could accomplish if you didn't give up.
Yeah. And for everyone that's watching as well, in 3 years, Kirk and Donna and John and Mel, and founders here at Earthwaking, just paid off the first and second villages.
Yeah.
I just wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And just there's still so much more to come. We have no
All
idea.
those payments, the payments on this village in particular, all only showed up within like a day or two of the due dates. Despite all of our efforts, like multiple breakdowns and money disappearing, not money disappearing, but people promises disappearing, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so they're all like within a day or something. It's really fascinating, especially for me and Donna, the planners.
Well, that also strengthened, that all needed to happen because it strengthened your
Absolutely.
faith. Oh my goodness.
Absolutely.
It's like, look what God can do,
Yep.
when you're on purpose and you're on your mission and
Yep.
yeah, when it's backed by God,
Yep.
just wow.
Yep.
So legacy, point into the direction of the truth. Be the real deal and have congruency of being. And everything else from there, your values, your achievements, your contributions, everything will be stemmed from that. We are launching a 4.0 version of the Visionary
Oh, yeah.
Leadership Program. And like I said for myself, we've got work to do. So if you'd like to join,
Yes.
please click the link below. That's going to be there for a resource for you to get at these worlds of language, to start distinguishing what's going to make you come alive from the inside out and never, ever give up on the legacy that you're here to leave behind. So I appreciate you and I thank you. Thank you, Kirk, for this amazing conversation and lighting the torch. Appreciate you.